How about a new reinvented rig tour? Looks a lot different than it did a year ago. So I'm in Oklahoma City again, building a platform. That'll be a later video. But I wanted to show you guys my truck and what I got going on here. It's quite a bit, it's quite a lot. This is the second chop saw situation I've had back here. I used to have one over there when I had a different vise, the vise that I broke. And of course I got my gin pole. And then of course I got my two situations to hold my ladder. I know you guys might enjoy a close-up. So we got a little set screw here, and this guy, it's a tight fit. See, I had to scoot it back a little bit because it's got this little space right here, and if it slid over, it won't clear my winch. That's precise. So anyway, this is an add-on here, this little set screw, because the original set screw is back here. But to pull this trailer and to keep my chop saw on here, I had to be able to move this so my chop saw would come all the way in. So this was in the way, so I had to put another set screw here. This guy just swings out here, and then I can cinch it down. I got a couple of bungees around it because this is an Evolution chop saw, an older model. It's about, I don't know, pretty close to 10 years old, I guess. But anyway, my little set screw kept coming out, so I just took it out, and now I just use bungees to hold it down, also to keep it from bouncing out of this frame. And then I added this square tubing, and then I already had these here, these racks. I actually built them for a previous welding bed that I had for my 06 Dodge before this. So I had these, sold the bed, but I kept these. I was tired of having to pull this trailer just for a little bit of material if I was going to do something. So, like I said, I added this so I could put this guy back here, and this, I had to add a piece of square tubing to this going that way. You know, to obviously slide it in that way. And then I just threw a piece of square tubing up here. Literally all this is thrown together, and it's not my favorite just throwing stuff together like this, but with everything that we have going on and as busy as I am, it just made sense to just kind of put all this on here, because it's essentially temporary. You know, I really need to build a new bed for the stuff I do now, but I don't have time for that, so this is what I've come up with. So anyway, them deals are super handy to haul material and obviously hold this long ladder of mine. And believe it or not, even with this lift and everything on this truck, I can actually reach this ratchet, because I just tacked the ratchet. I mean, super janky, guys. I mean, I definitely don't recommend doing anything like this permanently, but tacked that way this ratchet stays on here. But I can reach it from the ground, and then this one, all I got to do is step on this new Nerf bar. That's another add-on. I just got to step on it, and I can reach that, and then I can stand right here, and I can actually get this ladder off without, you know, having to climb on the back of my truck. So it's a lot more practical than it looks. That is a tall ladder, super handy. So anyway, since I had this on here, I was trying to decide where to put my chop saw, because I didn't really want to go without my gin pole, and so I couldn't really put it on that side of my gin pole because then it would be in the way of my vise and all that stuff. So I decided to build this little apparatus and then weld a piece of pipe on here, and then use this that I already had built when I had it over there to go inside the same pipe and everything. So it's handy. Yeah, it doesn't look the best, but it is super duper handy. And then here's the gin pole. We do have prints of the basic design of the gin pole on my website, Arosswelding.com, but I did want to kind of show you what I did to modify mine, and I definitely recommend that if you're going to build something for yourself. I recommend doing whatever you got to do to yours to make your situation practical. This is another add-on. So I was working on a boat trailer in my shop, and I had this gin pole on here. And again, this thing, you know, with everything I've added to it and everything, and as often as I use it, I didn't want to take this off just to pull the boat trailer around, which boat trailer is pretty light. I probably could have moved it by hand, but anyway, so I tacked this on here so I could put a different size ball, because the 2-inch trailer was a different size of ball. So that's literally on there just so I can move trailers around at the house, I guess, without changing out that ball. That's literally all that's for. I've only used it like once. And then, yeah, this is the gin pole. I've added a stiffener. I've moved my, I have my hooks down here, which would still work just fine. I used it a bunch down here, but I actually made an extension for my gin pole because I was working on something for the farm and I needed it to be taller, so I made an extension. And to allow this to hold all the weight I needed it to hold, I put this 1/2 by 3-inch flat standing up to make it stronger, but therefore I had to move these hooks up, you know, here, because down here this flat doesn't go all the way down here, so, you know, I mean, it could still technically do some kind of damage right in here. So I just moved them up here, and then so I just beefed it up more or less. This is only a 2,000-pound winch, but if I'm lifting something way heavier than that, I have a couple of different come-alongs back here. That's a hand, you know, come-along action, and then that is a 1 ton or 1.5 tons. It might only be a 1 ton, which is 2,000 pounds, same as my winch, but it actually holds it versus like this winch. It says it's 2,000, but it doesn't always hold 2,000 pounds, like hold it. It'll keep coming out, like it'll lift it up, but it won't like hold it for whatever reason. I don't know enough about winches to know. So anyway, long story short, I use that chain fall whenever I'm lifting heavy stuff. And then to keep this thing from, I was trying to move some pipe when I was working on that 8-inch entryway. I was trying to move some of that 8-inch pipe like backwards, I guess you could say. So pretend these ratchets are not here and we're just using the chains. Well, if you go to pull something this way, like if my winch line is down and I'm trying to pull something back, this pole is gonna wanna, you know what I mean? There's nothing keeping it from going this way. So I built this guy to go inside my 5th wheel hitch, and then that way it keeps it from going this way. Well, going down the road, it still has a little bit of play in it, and it kind of bounces back and forth. And whenever I put these new hooks on here, I didn't get them exactly where I needed them. So long story short, all this, these right here, pretend these are here again, are just to keep this sucked up tight. That way this is solid, like this doesn't bounce around or anything. So I want to get smaller ones of these. I actually want to build a whole new gin pole, if I'm being truthful, but this is what we've got. This is what I'm dealing with. It's a great setup, believe it or not. It may not look the best, but it is a very handy dandy setup. New Wilton vise that I just have slid into a piece of square tubing over there, just like this. One more add-on. So my jack stands. I was tired of crawling on the back. You can see the back of this truck already has a lot of stuff here. Well, that's where my jack stands used to be. So anytime I needed a jack stand, if I hadn't used them in a minute, because of all the various type of work that I do, if I hadn't used them in a minute, they'd be covered up with stuff and they'd be a pain to get. Very unmotivating, you know, to do something, especially when it's hot out. So to make it way more practical, I put these on here, and I can keep my feet on the ground, and I can reach right here and lift the jack stand off. You can see I got 2 shorties right over there still on the stand, so I keep 2 shorties, 2 talls over there, and I got 4 regular talls right here. Sumner jack stands. These are the ones I carry on my truck. I do have B and B, I think. Matthew Dearman, they're, I think, partners nowadays. Anyway, I do have a set of those. I like both both brands, just kind of a side note here, both brands of jack stands, but the B&B are a little bit like bigger. They got a little bit bigger of a footprint even when they're folded up. So I like having a Sumner on my truck because I can fit them in a tighter area. So that's what those are for. Again, way more motivating to just walk up here and grab your jack stand, and just like what I did here, you can see inside that shop, jack stands are set up underneath a platform that I'm building here. So that is that's about all that has changed, I think, from the pipeline rig tour. Same machine, same hose reel, Tidweld hose reel, Yeti ice chest, still one oxygen bottle. If I could do it over again, I'd put 2. Use my lead wells for this type of work. If I was pipelining, I would definitely still put my leads in here, unless I was on a buggy. That's why I built this, because I can just lift my machine off with my leads and everything. But since I'm not pipelining and I get to this stuff on the daily, it's nice to have my welding rod over here, because if you've seen previous rig tour, I keep my welding rod over here on the passenger side. This is how another side note, how my winch is connected. That's janky as heck too. That needs to be ran underneath. But I keep my welding rod right here underneath my spray bottle, which I don't carry when I'm on a pipeline either. I do carry this when I'm pipelining. Oh, and update on the tires. I went with a all-terrain tire instead of a mud tire. One, because they're cheaper a little bit, and for 2, they're gonna last maybe not quite twice as long, but like a good, say, 60 or 80,000, maybe almost twice as long. 60 or 80,000 versus 40,000 out of a mud tire. So Toyo ATs, Open Countries. I think these are the AT2s. Anyway, yep, there you have it. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm not quite done, or I am kind of done. I'm not done organizing, let me say that. But I did cut whenever I built this bed, everything from here over is just literally 4 inches deep, but there's a lot of wasted space in here. When I'm pipelining, again, it's fine, but when I'm doing all this stuff and I carry way more tools, it's handy to have more room. So I sunk this in right here, and you can see I've actually got my 2-inch bevel machine in here. I used to carry it behind my seat, and now I can put it here. But like I said, I need to do some organizing and some different stuff. But yeah, I really just want to build another bed, if I'm being truthful. But that is one more thing that I've done, one more modification. I put this little rail right here. I built this little thing on top of my Hoosier pole whenever I was pipelining to hold mud boots upside down. But now I use it for a rack. It holds my shovel, I hang my chains, my chain fall, my come along, grasshopper. So it's not what I built it for, but that's what I use it for, and it's super handy. I like the term ebb and flow. Ebb and flow, you know, adapt to the situation. That's what you got to do with the oil and gas industry / welding industry, is ebb and flow. You know, the oil field's going to come and go, and everything, all the janky stuff I've done to this welding truck is not my favorite. But you know, a year ago I couldn't find a pipeline job. Some of you might have been wondering, now I could actually go on a pipeline job. I still am in the union, and I'm low enough on the wheel where I could go on a job. They've been calling high numbers. But a year ago, whenever I couldn't find a pipeline job, I had already been off for about a year. And so waiting on a pipeline job that whole time more or less drained the account, right? So I had to make a decision, and I've had to make this decision in the past, because before I started pipelining, I was doing this type of stuff, and I was trying to still do it while I started traveling, and I decided to make the decision to just pipeline. So I just referred all my phone calls to people that I knew back home that were still doing stuff. around the house and stuff. But this time we've done the opposite, and we've leaned into the service base here at home. And like I said earlier in the video, we've had a lot going on between the YouTube stuff and the online stuff and the store that you see right here behind me. I've just been too busy to build a bed. You know, it hasn't made sense yet. And I actually plan on going on a pipeline job before the end of the year because of my retirement. I was informed by an older gentleman that I met at steward school a couple years ago that if I go more than 2 working years or whatever, 2 annual years or whatever they call it, it's been over 2 years since I've been on a job, but I have till the end of this year to go on a job to get my minimum hours for my retirement. If I don't do that, my retirement will get a break in it and it'll just take longer to heal. It won't be the end of the world if I don't go on a job this year, but it will just take more time to heal that retirement. So, newsflash, I do plan on going on a pipeline job before the end of the year. So all this stuff that I've done to my truck can be taken off and I can hook onto my camper and or pull the camper or stay in a apartment or hotel or whatever and use my pipeline welding bed like I designed it, for pipeline. That's more or less my advice is when it comes to getting into pipeline work, be willing to ebb and flow to make ends meet. I mean, I would say it's construction in general, which I guess it kind of is, but all that I know about is the welding industry and being a welder that's working for yourself or whatever, running a truck, I'll say. You just kind of got to do whatever you got to do to make ends meet, I thoroughly enjoy it. It can obviously cause stress to some people, but I actually enjoy all the, going to different places every day, doing different things, not knowing what's 6 months down the road. That's what I thrive off of, not to mention all the helpful information that I've been able to share with those of you who are looking to get into welding. I've learned a lot from everybody that watches these videos that's got way more experience than I do, but I know that I've been helping those that don't have as much experience as I do. So I'm super thankful for all of it, and I'm thankful for you guys. If you haven't already, check out the Arosswelding store. We are fully stocked with soapstone, blue books, welding shirts, brass snaps. We just got a big order of brass snaps in. Kayla has been packaging all day. When I say packaging, I mean whenever we get an order of soapstone in, we put it in our own packaging and break it all up into the different options that you can buy. They're on the website. Same with the welding shirts. They come in just a clear package or not a package at all sometimes, and we put them in our own burlap bag. That's what these are. And with a Arosswelding stamp on it and whatnot. So she's been doing that all day and obviously packing orders also. So thanks for all the support and thank you for watching. And remember, learn something every day.